All right, welcome everyone to the regular meeting Municipal Planning Commission of January 7th, 2026. It is now 4:59. I'll call this meeting to order. Just before we get started, I'd like to outline for the public members that are here that the commission will hear presentations on the development applications before us. We will receive submissions from the Development Authority, followed by applicant, if applicable. After those submissions are complete, the commission will provide opportunity for members of the public to speak. Please note that the opportunity is a privilege extended by the commission. It's not a right and is not required component of the municipal planning review process. If you are invited to speak, your comments must be respectful, concise, and focused on the land use planning matters relevant to the application. All remarks must be addressed to the chair and not to the Development Authority, the applicant or other presenters. Please limit your comments to new information. If a point has already been raised, the commission may ask you to conclude your remarks in the interest of time and meeting efficiency. This is a formal and recorded meeting, and we appreciate your cooperation in helping us maintain orderly and professional process. We'll now proceed with the agenda. So we have the agenda before us. I will just ask someone to make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda. Councillor Dykeslide.
Thank you. All those in favor? Unanimous, carried. You also have the minutes from the October 15, 2025 meeting. Does anyone have any errors and omissions that they see in those minutes? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adopt those minutes.
I'll move that we adopt the minutes from the October 15, 2025 meeting.
Thank you, Member Spam. All those in favor? Unanimous, carried. All right, so before us we have two development permit applications. One for accessory residential building, a shed, and another one for parking variance. So with that, I'll ask Senior Development Officer Hill to guide us through that, please.
Thank you.
Whoops, I didn't have that.
Thank you and welcome. Located at 5132 48th Street on a site that's zoned R4, which is a residential site. And the applicant has applied for a development permit for a 21-meter squared shed at the rear of an existing semi-detached dwelling, and they are requesting a variance to the on-site parking. An accessory residential building means an accessory building to a residence and includes such things as detached garages, sheds, and greenhouses, and does not include fabric covered portable structures. And administration supports the application. And the applicant is seeking a 50% variance to the required on-site parking, and therefore the application is before the Municipal Planning Commission for review and decision. An accessory residential building is listed as a permitted use. The proposed shed will be constructed on skids and will be movable. And the proposed location of the shed complies with the land use bylaws setbacks, parcel coverage, and height requirements. The proposal includes one all-weather lane accessed parking stall located at the rear of the property behind the accessory building. It's outlined there in red. That's where the one parking stall will be parallel to the lane. And the parking variance is requested because the placement of the proposed shed limits the depth of the rear yard, making it impractical to accommodate 2 compliant parking stalls while meeting standard stall dimensions. Although the lot can accommodate an accessory building, requiring 2 full-size parking stalls would significantly reduce the usable yard space. So the applicant seeking a reasonable balance between parking and functional outdoor amenity space. The site is adjacent to a commercial development that has Shoppers Drug Mart and Sobeys, where parking and hard surfacing are already prevalent. And as a result, the reduction of 1 residential parking stall is not expected to place pressure on nearby properties or affect traffic operations. The property is located within the mixed-use transition area of the downtown area redevelopment plan, which anticipates shared parking patterns and reduced reliance on on-site parking due to proximity to downtown services and walkable amenities. The site is an existing semi-detached dwelling in a mixed residential area that includes detached homes, multi-unit housing, and nearby commercial uses. The neighborhood currently accommodates varied parking arrangements, including lane access and on-street parking without any demonstrated conflicts. Both the subject site and the adjoining semi-detached dwelling currently operate with 1 on-site parking stall each. The proposed variance reflects an established and functioning parking pattern rather than introducing a new condition. The proposed shed is small in scale and complies with all the land use bylaw requirements. It's movable, which will limit any long-term impacts on the site. Administration is satisfied that the variance will not negatively affect neighboring properties or neighborhood amenities and that adequate on-street parking is available. Neighboring property consultations were conducted in accordance with the land use bylaw, and 20 property owners within 60 meters of the site were notified, and a total of 5 responses were received, 2 in support and 3 opposed. The first comment was that they support the application, and so administration didn't have a response for that. Another comment was that it needs 2 parking stalls and where will the snow go? So administration's response is that the area is walkable to services and amenities. There are ample on-street parking options, and the site currently only has 1 parking stall, and therefore it's not introducing a new condition. And then there is room on the site for snow storage on the side and rear yards. Another comment was too much infill on the lot, and administration's response was that an accessory residential building, so a shed, is a permitted use, and the parcel coverage for the site is well under what the bylaw maximum allows. And another comment was it reduces parking to more on-street parking. So the site and the neighborhood currently function with 1 on-site parking stall each, and the presence of attached or detached garages doesn't always correlate with available on-site parking, as these spaces can be commonly used for household storage. We also received some concerns about a rooftop deck proposal and issues around privacy and overlook. So on the original application, the applicant had included a rooftop deck. After neighborhood consultation, we went back to the applicant and let them know the concerns we had received related to privacy and overlook, and they have removed the rooftop deck. And the application is before MPC today as just a shed with a single stall parking variance. So the rooftop deck has been removed from the proposal, will no longer be constructed, and the drawings have been revised to reflect that. So this concern has been addressed. As stated previously, administration supports the application for the following reasons. It meets the intent of the R4 district to accommodate a range of lower medium density residential forms and compatible accessory uses, and would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially affect the use, enjoyment, or value of adjacent properties. It complies with most of the land use bylaw regulations for an accessory residential building, including heights, setbacks, and parcel coverage and provides an appropriately scaled structure within the rear yard that maintains functional outdoor amenity space for the dwelling. And the variance to the parking is acceptable to administration given the limited parcel size, the dimensional requirements for parking stalls, and the need to balance on-site parking with usable rear yard space. And then the site does have good proximity to commercial development and walkable downtown amenities. The proposed development responds to neighborhood feedback received through the circulation process as the applicant removed the previous proposed rooftop deck to address those concerns, and that demonstrates sensitivity to adjacent landowners and results in a lower impact development. And it aligns with the goals of the MDP and the DARP, which encourage compact and efficient land use, compatibility of building forms within transition areas, and development that supports walkability and mixed-use urban environments. So if MPC should choose to approve the application, we have the recommended resolution here before you, and subject to conditions included in the report. Oh. And I thank you and I welcome any questions.
Appreciate that. Any questions to the Development Authority from members?
With the overhead view that I see on page 30, it's a duplex. And the 2 parking stalls, that's 1 per side, is that correct? And we're looking at reducing that down to just 1 total?
Through the chair to MPC members, it is a duplex, and each side of the duplex currently has 1 parking stall per side. So it would still remain exactly the same, 1 parking stall per side. So 2 total for the 2 individual sites, the 2 individual duplexes.
Member Hubert,
Oh,
question through the
to the
chair.
chair, to, I guess would be Debbie. Is it, so then it will just be angling versus vertical. It'll just be the parking that he would have is just enough space for him to be vertical, basically. right?
Perpendicular?
Like to it. Like, I think it'd be fine. Like if he's just making up the parking and just parking there, that would just subsidize there, right? So.
Through the chair to MPC members, that's correct. The parking would be parallel to the lane rather than the way it is right now, they drive into the site.
Anybody else? Okay. Is the applicant here and would you care to speak? Would you care to speak?
She did a really great job.
You're welcome to, if not, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
Smart.
Not that you guys really care, but I have a dog, so he has a yard,
Makes sense, yeah.
so.
Utilize it, right?
Okay, if you're gonna speak, can you just stand up and tell us your name and just for the, and you can come right up here if you want.
Not everybody wants to really hear.
Sure, and just tell us your name, please, for the
My
record.
name is Tammy Keller Welch. My husband, who I got married to after I purchased the property, is in construction. So he is a business owner that does construction. So he's the one who did the plans and made sure it was all copacetic.
Okay.
So yeah, so it just trying to utilize the space to the best of our ability, while being able to use it for my animal, my kids. And then we have motorcycles. So the purpose of the shed is to park the motorcycles inside. So we don't have a wet butt every time I want to go riding. So the shed that's there now is basically dilapidated and needs to be ripped down regardless. So just trying to utilize the space as best as possible.
Good, thank you. Members have any questions? to the applicant? Okay, thank you. All right, so we have that motion before us. Does anybody wish to? Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Is there someone in the gallery that wishes to speak to it?
Yes, my name is Carl Iver. I have the home next to this development permit,
Mhm.
and I have a couple of questions that I know the lady has a dog, which I appreciate. Where is she going to be able to put this dog when the shed goes in? It's going to be crowding that back lot. I have no problem with a single parking back there.
Mhm.
But with it being two duplexes next to each other, the people that lived there before had 2 vehicles each. There isn't room for 4 vehicles in front of those 2 duplexes. My home next to the north of that, I'm very fortunate that I'm close to the 51st, that I can park at least 2 vehicles on the street, sometimes 3. The problem that I see, not that I'm against the parking there, is if we get too many vehicles on that street, Sobeys is right across the road. They have a lot of trucks coming across. Now, I have parked across the road in the Sobeys parking lot, and I have been asked to take my vehicle from there. So I can put a vehicle at the back of my place. I could probably squeeze in 2. But in the snow, to go 1. I have no problems with what this lady wishes to do, but I just think the shed is a little bit bigger than what it needs to be if she's going to have the dog, because I don't feel there's enough room. Now, that being said, I'd like to take a look at this and have the planning commission actually see when this shed goes in on how much room there's going to be left. There is a fence that comes, a chain link fence that comes down between our properties,
Mhm.
and approximately, I'd have to ask the lady, is it 50 feet?
No, you can't, sorry.
Sorry. Is it 50 feet, I believe, to the south? And then her parking will go there. That shed will go in that 50 feet by the chain link fences.
Okay, so we understand what so you're asking more about the dog and we really
Well,
can't.
No, if the dog is quite happy there, that's fine, if there's room for it.
Okay,
You
point
know,
taken.
We'll have to take a look, I'm afraid, that when that shed goes in, how much space is left between the shed and the alley and the shed and the duplex.
Okay, thank you. Just to tell you, once this has been approved and the shed's there, it's an approved application.
Okay.
It's not going to be moved because of maybe not enough room for the dogs, just so you
Okay,
understand that.
Okay, we'll take the dog out of it then.
But, okay, so you're here to speak, you're okay with the shed being there?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, because there was a shed on that property before. And there was 2 sheds, one on each side for each duplex.
Okay,
One was dismantled, and if you wish to put a shed in there, that is, I have no objection to it.
okay, thank
I have
you.
no objection to the shed. Just that I think it's crowding it in there. And the front street parking is going to be a problem regardless, because trucks come into Sobeys day and night. And if people park on both sides of the road, there's very little room for those semis to come down. But that is the way it is. We allowed Sobeys to go in there and we have to live with it.
That's right.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good, thank you for your comments, appreciate it. You can respond, sure, just through the chair.
Through the chair to the development officer, when we did the presentation, you'd said that when the shed is on there, they're still under the allowable use of the land through the square footage of the back of it.
Through the chair, that's correct. They are still well under the maximum allowable site coverage for that site. I would also like to point out that on page 21 of your agenda package, I did up a diagram just showing if they had pushed the shed in and provided those 2 parking stalls, what that might look like.
Right. But if there's no further questions, if we can have someone make the motion, please.
Can we pull that motion up? I move that Municipal Planning Commission approve the permitted use of an accessory residential building with variance for 1 parking stall to be located at 5132 48th Street, lot 13A, etc., with 7 conditions.
You have the motion. All in favor? Unanimous, carried. Thank you. All right, we'll go to 4.2 on our agenda, addition to a parking variance, and Senior Officer Hill as well.
And I will let you know the applicant is here for this item as well.
Okay, thank you.
So the applicant has applied for a development permit for a 70.61 meter squared addition to be used for offices, and they are requesting a 2-stall parking variance. The office addition will be at the rear of an existing building. And the site is zoned downtown commercial district C1, and it falls within the Old Town Main Street district area of the DARP and involves an addition to the former Lacombe Post Office building, which is included on the city's heritage inventory, although it's not formally designated. And administration supports the application. So the applicant is proposing to cosmetically upgrade the front facade, including centering the main entry, installing new windows, and adding a new brick veneer along the base of the building. These improvements support the DARP's goals for streetscape enhancements and heritage character continuity. And then the picture at the bottom is showing that existing rear building, and then next to it, the proposed, how that addition would look. So the application is being presented to the commission for a decision for the following reasons: for development, including additions to existing buildings in the downtown commercial district, where in the opinion of the Municipal Planning Commission, it is impractical to provide any or all of the required parking spaces because of lot shape, proposed building configuration, orientation of adjacent buildings, or economic viability. The Development Authority may reduce the number of parking spaces required or waive the provisions of any parking spaces. And then additionally, the development officer may refer any development permit application to the Municipal Planning Commission for decision. So the existing building occupies the majority of the site, and the proposed addition extends the building to the rear property line consistent with the established development pattern in this part of downtown, where many commercial buildings are built to their lot edges. The C1 district allows buildings to be constructed right up to the front and side property lines, and buildings may also be constructed up to the rear property line as long as the parking and loading spaces can otherwise be accommodated. So this development would require 2 on-street vehicle parking stall or 2 on-site vehicle parking stalls, and the applicant's requesting 100% variance, resulting in 0 on-site parking stalls. Administration recognizes that parking supply in the downtown remains an ongoing concern for both businesses and the public, and that cumulative pressures on the public parking system require careful consideration. In evaluating this application, a central issue for the MPC is that approval of the requested variance would remove the requirement for on-site parking associated with this development in downtown. Incrementally, approvals of this nature can increase reliance on shared public parking resources. At the same time, zero lot line development with little or no on-site parking is a well-established and functioning pattern throughout the downtown. Many existing businesses operate successfully under this model, and the MPC is tasked with balancing these long-standing conditions with current parking demands. The proposed building addition is limited in scale, and it's not anticipated to generate a material increase in parking demand. Although the proposal may contribute marginally to the usage of the public lot, it does not result in the removal of any public parking stalls. When considered with the intent of the C1 district and the DARP, which support compact development, shared parking, and a pedestrian-oriented environment, the associated parking impacts are considered manageable and consistent with the established downtown patterns. While ongoing parking challenges in the downtown are acknowledged, administration is of the opinion that the impacts associated with this application can be reasonably absorbed within the existing public parking system, and that the application satisfies the variance criteria as outlined in the land use bylaw. The subject site consists of an existing office building surrounded by established commercial uses typical of the downtown core. This site has immediate access to a city-owned public parking lot, along with available street parking in the vicinity, and is located within the pedestrian-oriented and walkable downtown. So you can see here on the map, the variety of 2-hour parking, and the blue boxes are the larger and longer public parking lots. So the applicant is proposing to renovate the exterior of the existing building along with the rear addition, and that small addition is not expected to negatively affect neighboring businesses or the function of adjacent parcels. And the facade improvements and reinvestment in the building are anticipated to enhance the streetscape and contribute positively to the vitality of downtown. Neighboring property consultations were conducted in accordance with the land use bylaw, and 19 property owners within 60 meters of the subject site were notified, and 1 letter of opposition was received. And a summary of the comments are here. So the addition to the building without providing private parking will cause extra parking pressure and demand in the area. And administration's response was that the proposed development is increasing the building area, but not intensifying operations of the office space in terms of increased employee or customer volumes above what is typical for small commercial uses in the downtown. And many longstanding buildings in the area were constructed with limited or no on-site parking. In this area, customer and employee parking is primarily accommodated through public parking facilities and on-street parking rather than private on-site stalls. And the subject site backs directly onto a city-owned public parking lot that provides free parking to support adjacent businesses. The other comment was that the person who wrote in was under the understanding that their site in particular benefits from a historic cash contribution for provision of additional parking. So we did acknowledge the historical parking contribution noted in that submission. However, the cash and lieu programs were intended to support the development of shared municipal parking resources for the broader downtown, and not to guarantee specific stall numbers adjacent to individual properties. So we are continuing to monitor parking supply and demand in the downtown and invest in public parking facilities, such as the lot that directly supports the subject property. And the presence of this parking resource is a key reason why minor parking variances can be considered in this block without negatively affecting neighboring businesses. So as stated previously, administration supports the application for the following reasons. It aligns with the purpose of the C1 district by supporting pedestrian-oriented commercial activity and reinvestment in the downtown core. It's consistent with the Old Town Main Street district of the DARP through facade improvements, heritage enhancement, and reinvestment in a historic downtown property. It's compatible with the surrounding built form, as many buildings in this block extend fully to their property boundaries. It will not create undue parking impacts as the site is immediately adjacent to a public parking lot and surrounded by on-street parking options. It contributes positively to the downtown environment, encourages the reuse and enhancement of an existing building, and supports economic activity in a walkable commercial area. And we have the resolution here before you for your consideration. And I thank you and I welcome any questions.
Well prepared and presented presentation for us. So any questions for the Development Authority from the members?
Sorry. Okay. I was wondering, I noticed that we've been coming across a lot of businesses downtown that are requiring the additional parking. Is there anything in the future that's going to be done to alleviate the requirement of the additional parking that has been kind of like, it's been coming up a little bit more often that there's not enough parking downtown? And I know that I've been in this area and during the business hours, it's really packed. So that's, I was just curious if anything was on the.
Through the chair to MPC members, just to clarify, are you asking if we might change the bylaw to remove parking requirements, or are you asking if the city is looking at obtaining more public parking?
Through the chair, if they are looking to obtain additional parking for downtown. Is like, I don't know if there's anything.
I'll refer to my manager for response.
Through the chair, there are no current plans on council's agenda to purchase downtown parking. No capital plans. However, the engineering department is aware that public parking downtown is a major concern. And so as of a few years ago, we began tracking parking. And so when we do improvements in the downtown area, we carefully tick when we can add a parking stall or when we lose a parking stall for things like street improvements. And we have been steadily increasing it with, I think, I don't have the exact number before us, but I think I'd say over the last 3 years, we probably averaged about 10 stalls a year. And those are through things like painting lines. So when we paint lines and clearly define where people are parking, you get less of this kind of somebody parking where there could be 2 cars and you only get 1 car in because they're parking so far away. So we're making incremental changes like that, but there is nothing on the books for a large scale new parking lot or anything like that.
Okay, through the chair again. So if you are just saying that you are aware that there is parking issues downtown, but yet in here it just says that it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't have any effect on it. So I really think that the 2 spaces are needed, and they should be there, and I don't think they should be taken away. But anyways, I guess my opinion is that I guess there is an absence of that. Okay.
5012 and 5016, is that about 14 parking spots? And those 2 spots, like, is that normally at capacity during the day?
Through the chair to MPC members, I haven't counted how many spots there are exactly, and it is fairly busy during the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Through the chair, if I could add to that, part of the reason that one in particular is busy is it's one of the ones on the earlier slide where we indicated that's longer than 2-hour parking. And so where we do see some challenges is when business owners or business employees need to park, they do tend to eat up the lots that have the longer in excess of 2-hour parking, leaving customers to use the spots that have up here in yellow that are more the 2-hour parking. And so yes, if you go by on a regular basis, that the blue lots do tend to be rather full.
And just one other comment. So I think I heard you correctly to say that extending to the property line is acceptable. There's no variances there. It is a common practice in that area that businesses can extend to that back property line. The variance we're asking for is the parking only, right?
Through the chair to MBC members, that's correct. They can extend the building without needing any kind of a rear yard variance. They just need to ensure that somehow the parking and loading functions can be absorbed or provided nearby.
To the chair, I think developments like this are good. It's what the downtown needs. I don't think the elimination of 2 spots really is going to put that much extra pressure on the rest of downtown. I think that's something that the parking pressures of downtown are something that council needs to address down the road. But if you don't do developments like this, that's where you start to get issues with the inner city rot or things like that that can end up being bigger problems than exactly where someone's parking. So I think it's a good idea.
Through the chair, I from looking at the parking map there, I do like it's my concern is additionally if it's an expansion and there's more employees coming. But having that 2-hour parking designation there, I think, like you said, prevents employees from taking up that parking. And if they're parking in the back streets, kind of where it's the parking for the day is more suited. So to me, it's as long as the flow from the streets remains at the 2-hour limit, and that additional employees aren't taking up those spots there due to the time limit, then my conscience is eased in my decision. So.
And do we have someone else that wishes to speak to? Okay, and just come state your name and.
My name is Jenny Becker, and we own the building that is presently housing, used to be the old sofa shop. It's Sam 5005, I think, to 5009 on Highway 2A, sandwiched between 2A and 49th Street. And so we bought the building in 2009. And since that time, we've watched parking in the area take a slow, steady demise. We used to be able to park right on 2A. People could park all around the whole area. Then, of course, with the development of the 2A, we understand that those things had to change and that we had to have the dead end street was put in there. Along with that, a lot of parking got lost on 49th Street. And at the time when that whole change was made, Lifelong Learning was renting our spot. And she said she counted in the years that they were there, we lost 15 parking stalls accessible to that building. That's a lot. In 1978, the owner of that building had contributed $15,000 towards the parking. And we never claimed that it was for specific parking stalls, not at all. We knew it was for the downtown. But that definitely factored into our purchase of the building, knowing that there was going to be in the towns where it's ample parking. So now we feel it's come to the point of inadequate, not just not ample and not adequate. It's actually inadequate for that area. And 2 parking stalls doesn't sound like much, but like you said, with increased employment, let's say that's increased employment at the front, that's increased foot traffic. I love the idea of downtown being busy. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to have downtown be busy, but we can't shoot ourselves in the foot either. And so I would love to see them build up, build over, have parking stalls underneath, anything like that. But when you have, it's more than a 2 parking stall loss, because if you add 2 employees, that's now 4 parking stalls, not 2. And so the creep just keeps on happening. And I would love to see the town try to buy Popo's empty lot where they haul their stuff in. There have been other opportunities over the years that I've recommended to the town for parking when they came up and they weren't looked at. So that's why I'm here now, because it's a slow creep, but it is a creep. And it just makes it harder to be downtown. And as we make it more difficult to be downtown, people are going to go to the malls. They're going to go to Red Deer because it's just easier. So, I love the idea of a walking town. I'm BC born and bred, but really I've been living in Alberta for 50 years and nobody wants to spend the winter days walking, slipping and sliding. And we have winter 6 months of the year. So we do need to have good downtown parking with good access. So, yeah, I guess that's about all I have to add. Thank you.
Good, and we appreciate your comments. It's important for us to hear that as well. So thank you for that.
Questions?
No, I just think that through the chair to our person who was presenting, and Councillor Spam alluded to this before. As a new council, I think these comments are really important for us to hear as we move into strategic planning and understanding that the parking could be an issue that we need to look at as a new council. So I appreciate the comments and the insight that you were able to provide with this historical view of the situation, losing parking spots and hearing that this lot is full quite commonly. So I think just rest assured, whatever way this goes, that is on council's mind as we go into strategic planning coming up here at the end of February, is a consideration about that need to keep our downtown vital and usable for all of the people that are patronizing those businesses. So I appreciate the comments.
Thank you, Member Dykstra, for that.
Through the chair, I appreciate those comments as well. And I've got a business myself downtown, and I know those parking pressures are definitely there. I think when it comes to this specific project, I think the solutions that are there for parking are more in line with what you alluded to as well, with looking at other options for it rather than just specifically on site parking. That's my personal thoughts, but I definitely do recognize there is issues with parking downtown.
All right, any other comments? If not, I'll ask if someone wants to make a motion.
I'll make the motion that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit for a 70.6 meter squared addition and a variance for 0 on-site parking stalls to be located at 4906 50th Ave, lots 19 and 20, with 6 conditions.
We have the motion on the floor. All in favor? Against? Carried. Thank you. And thank you again for both of you for attending, and thank you for both giving us that historic view. We appreciate that a lot. Okay, so moving on to item 5, the summary of the discretionary use development permits issued by our Development Development Authority. Senior Development Officer Kirk, if you would lead us through that, please.
Thank you. All right, so just to clarify, these permits that I'm reading you now were either discretionary uses or variances over 15%, where we sent out letters and no opposition was received, or the variance was under 15% and we were within our authority to approve it without neighborhood circulation. So the first one was a 1-bedroom secondary suite at 18 Metcalf Way. It was a discretionary use. We didn't receive opposition, so that one was issued.
The next one was a liquor store. This one's also, or sorry, at 102 5029 52nd Street. That one was also discretionary use that no opposition was received for, so it was approved. The next one was a 16% side yard setback variance on a proposed semi-detached dwelling at 5131 52 Street. This variance was over 15%, no opposition was received. That's why that one was approved. The next one was a 25% side yard setback variance for discretionary use detached dwelling at 5116 48th Street. So again, the variance was over 15%. We did the circulation, no opposition was received. The next one is a 7% rear yard setback variance on an existing detached dwelling and a 28% rear yard setback variance on an existing projection, which was a covered deck. At 3 Fairway Drive, no opposition was received. And 32% north side yard setback variance on a multi-attached housing development. So that was a fourplex at 5138 50th Street. No opposition was received. And then the last one was a discretionary used home occupation 2, where they're doing music lessons at 5032 C&E Trail. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, I welcome them.
Thank you for that. You've been busy, you Development Authority. Appreciate that. Thank you. Does any members have any questions? Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the decision from the Regional Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. And Senior Development Kirk, if you would lead us through that as well.
Thank you very much. All right, yes, so the appeal was against development permit application 61250129 from 2025, which was a 12-unit apartment development housing with variances at 5253 to 5259 49th Street. So for an overview, MPC conditionally approved this development permit on October 15th. It did go Apartment housing is a listed permitted use in the district. However, they requested variances over 15%. Opposition was received, and that's why it went to MPC for a decision. They approved it. MPC's decisions are always subject to a 21-day mandatory appeal period under the Municipal Government Act. That's whether you're refusing or approving. Neighboring landowners submitted an appeal within that time frame. The SDAB hearing took place on December 1st, and unlike MPC, SDAB has a certain time frame that they can issue their decision, so it's not always done right at the hearing. So on December 8th, they gave us our written decision, which was to refuse the appeal and uphold MPC's decision to approve the permit. So why did MPC approve the application? They were of the opinion that the proposal would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels of land for the following reasons. So again, the proposal is a listed use in the R5 district, and it meets the intent of the district to provide higher residential developments, such as apartment housing. The proposal exceeded and complied with several land use bylaw regulations. So that was parking, landscaping, parcel coverage, infill standards, building orientation and design, etc. And the proposal aligned with the goals of the city's MDP, that's the Municipal Development Plan, by providing a broader range of housing options, supporting housing affordability, addressing demographics, supporting infill development, and connecting to the community amenities in a sustainable manner. Why did neighboring landowners submit an appeal? So the written appeal did express concerns related to the scale and massing, the number and magnitude of variances, the privacy and overlook, traffic, parking, noise, dust, property values, and the overall compatibility with the surrounding low-profile residential form. So the surrounding properties are containing mostly houses. There are one, but City Council did approve a rezoning application to change these lots from R1 to R5 to allow for apartment housing. And why did the MP or the SDAB refuse the appeal? So the SDAB was of the opinion that the proposal meets the intent of the R5 district and the DARP overlay. They felt that the setback variances along the north and west property lines were reasonable as they stem from the required corner cut and the physical configuration of the lot. So you can see in the bottom left corner, it's circled in red. That corner cut is for visibility, and that was the main reason why those setbacks were requested, the variances, sorry. And SDAP was of the opinion that the placement of the building was designed to minimize impacts on adjacent properties by shifting the massing to the north and west boundaries of the property. So this provides maximum separation from neighboring yards, about 20 meters, thereby reducing any material interference with the use and value of the surrounding parcels. There is a house there just to the south, so now with the applicant proposing the building to the far north side, there's about a 20-meter buffer between the development and the adjacent house. And continuing on, they had a lot of reasons. So the proposal conforms to the use prescribed for the parcel. The requested height variance exists because of the selected architectural style. Had the building been designed in an alternative permitted style, the same overall 2.5 story height would not have required a variance. So just for some context, on the DARP overlay, depending on which section you're in, your developments have to be made as either eclectic craftsman, Queen Anne, Victorian, what are some other ones? Edwardian, yes, thank you, and folk. So our applicant decided to select a feature that met all requirements except for height, and that is why that variance was requested. The height met the R5 district, but not the DARP overlay, which supersedes the R5 district. The SDAB felt that no evidence was submitted to demonstrate measurable impact on surrounding property values. The board acknowledged community concerns, but must base its decision on objective planning evidence. Traffic concerns were reviewed by the municipality, and no technical evidence was presented to the board showing unacceptable traffic safety impacts arising from the proposal. Matters raised regarding street parking, garbage control, vehicle idling, and traffic management are under the jurisdiction of municipal enforcement and are not within the board's authority under the Municipal Government Act or the Land Use Bylaw. And finally, the Municipal Planning Commission remained within their jurisdiction and based their decisions of approval on planning principles and land use bylaw regulations. So the lessons learned. When considering development permit applications, the MPC must remain within their jurisdiction and base their decisions on planning principles and land use bylaw regulations. So SDAB recognized that the commission did do this, and that is probably the main reason why they upheld their decision. Some examples of what are within MPC's jurisdiction are the district requirements. So that's your use, your intent, the parcel coverage, setbacks, height, those kind of things. Then we also look at parking, landscaping, garbage storage, overlay requirements, etc. Examples of matters outside of our jurisdiction is adjacent property value impacts, sale or rental costs, people, so like raise, age, renters. And I do bring that one up because we did have a letter of opposition where they felt that the person who wrote in wanted the building to be 50 plus only. And that was the only way they wanted to approve it. And we cannot do that. We can't base our decisions on that. So, and then the last one is like matters regulated and enforced under separate City of Lacombe bylaws. So what happens next? So SDAB's decision is final. The only way it can be appealed to the Court of Appeals on a question of law, so if we didn't follow a correct process, or jurisdiction, so if we made decisions outside of our jurisdiction. The development permit was issued on December 10th, the same day that we received our written decision from the SDAB. And the applicant is now required to complete certain development permit conditions before they can proceed with a building permit. So they'll have to submit a fire safety plan, some lot grading, some quotes, payment of deposits, etc. Then once they complete these things, they can get their building permit and begin construction. Thank you, and I welcome any questions.
And thank you for well-prepared presentation, and not just this one, but I just want to speak on behalf of myself as chair and the members that we really appreciate the way you prepare us for these decisions and then how you lead us through them. So thank you for that. With that, any questions from the members?
Just a follow-up question. Presenter, what was your last name? Kirk, I knew I had that. Thank you. I'm getting all the names slowly. Appreciate it, Chair. After the appeal is decided, how is the residents notified that the appeal was basically lost on their behalf and it was upholded? Is that now done through this meeting, or is there some sort of consultation you guys do now?
Yeah, through the chair to the members, that's a great question. So the SDAB is completely separate from the city of Lacombe. They have their own clerk and they're responsible for sending out the mailouts. Everybody within that 60 meters would have received the same written decision that we did.
Yeah, both of you. Extra pictures and visual about the area that we're talking about, because it's sometimes it's hard to picture like depth and scope. So thank you for the clarity of pictures.
Just wondering where we are at now. The development permit's been issued. They had some conditions to meet before building permit. How are we, where are we at?
So through the chair to the members, they are still working on completing their conditions before they can apply for a building permit. So it'll probably be a little bit before you see construction there.
Great, thank you. So looks like the next meeting, January 21st, do we have, we're gonna have some decisions to make there, some applications that are coming forward?
Through the chair to the next application.
Good, thank you. And with that, we would like to have someone move to have this meeting adjourned.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor? Carried. This meeting is now adjourned.